This June new moon offers us an opportunity for a reset. Join us for the energetic insights in the astrology of the new moon in Cancer. Welcome to the Free to Be Free portal. I'm Julia Ananda, and I'm here with astrologer and Gene Keys guide Margaret Miller, and she'll be weaving together her energetic insights through the astrological tools of the Sabian symbols and also the Gene Keys. Hi, Margaret.
Thank you, Julia. I am excited to dive into this new moon, which is in the sign of Cancer, and it is happening on June 25th at 3:31 a.m. Pacific time. So adjust for your local time. I probably will do my new moon ceremony sometime before 3:31 a.m. Pacific time. So anyway, so as we look at the new moon, we of course, have the sun and the moon conjunct one another at, in this case, 5 degrees of Cancer. And this degree point stood out for me for several reasons. One is that I have it as my ascendant in my natal astrology. And another reason is because of the Sabian symbol that is associated with 5 degrees of Cancer. The Sabian symbol is an automobile is wrecked by a train. And it's one of the most sort of negative sounding Sabian symbols in all 360 Sabian symbols. And because I have it in my own chart, I've studied and contemplated it a lot. And so the energy of this is is like a wake-up call or a not a warning, but just a sort of a, hey, pay attention, because what we do, what we say, what we think has consequences, right? And so our energy that we're putting out into the world is like our the energy that we're putting out in the world now is like the karma that we're building for the future, right? And so it's saying to pay attention and to, like, sometimes we're racing so fast towards our own goals, towards our own aspirations, that we fail to look at the consequences of our actions, or the potential, you know, consequences of for other people, or just in general for our own lives. And and so I think it's just a beautiful energy for a new moon, for that resetting and setting new intentions. And the Cancer energy is, Cancer is a cardinal sign, so it's happening right after this new moon is happening right after the solstice. And and so it really is this energy for initiation into the new season and into a new beginning in whatever area of our life that we're working on. So here is the chart for this new moon in Cancer, and you can see we have the sun and the moon at 4 degrees 7 minutes, or 4 degrees 8 minutes of Cancer. Now we round up because we're looking also at the Sabian symbol, which moves between 4 and 5 degrees of Cancer. And so this new moon, there is that energy of this remembering, like, remember that any new beginning that we make, any new beginning that we want to start at this new moon, needs to have the correct energy with it, meaning that we want to start our things with positive intentions, not only positive intentions, but with an absence of fear, right? We want to have a frequency that allows us um, to begin with the highest possible frequencies, which is how we should begin anything all the time. Anyway, but I think this is a really beautiful reminder of that. And so the moon in Cancer is very powerful because Cancer is ruled by the moon. The sign of Cancer is ruled by the moon and the fourth house of home and family. And so those can be some areas that could be really impacted or, by the choices that we make. But it also, can spread out into other areas of our lives. And you can see right away that in this chart, that here is Jupiter also conjunct the sun and the moon at 4 degrees of Cancer. And so Jupiter is our planet of expansion. And so whatever energy that we are, it's expansion and good luck and good fortune, but mostly expansion. So if we are starting our new beginnings with sort of a lot of fear or a lot of things that don't belong in a new beginning, then those things will be expanded. Those things will be come into a greater strength. So I just feel like this is a very powerful time that we're living through. And so having a little bit of insight into what these and the potentials of these energies are is really good. And so also right away, I want to bring in the 52nd gene key, where the sun and the moon are, at this 5 degrees of Cancer, corresponds with the gene key 52, which is the shadow of stress, the gift of restraint, and the city of stillness. You can kind of see how, how those energies kind of fit with this Sabian symbol as well, where if we just run with the shadow frequency of stress, we're likely to have sort of unexpected results, or maybe even sometimes unwanted results. But when we move into the higher frequencies and we still the wave a little bit and, practice a little bit of restraint, and I'll talk about this a lot in our energy of the week insights, but just that energy of restraint says, I don't have to react with a knee-jerk response. I can respond to situations more lovingly and from a clearer place if I take a moment to pause and to feel into my heart. And that is also what this new moon is talking about, is feeling into things. Cancer is about nurturing, it's about maturing, it's about sensitivity, it's about embracing how we really feel about things. And and so So this new moon is giving what it is we want to create in this cycle and what it is that we uh, need to let go of. It's need to not include, in that new beginning. So looking at some of the aspects here, well, we could talk about this is such a powerful time for astrologers. I mean, we're all having like a kids in a candy store, I think, with all of the changes that are happening. But I'm going to focus on the aspects that are directly affecting this new moon, and I'll start with actually this square here between the sun and the moon and Saturn and Neptune, who are conjunct together in the sign at the very beginning of Aries. And this is very, very powerful energy. Uh, this Saturn, of course, is our structures and our foundations, and Neptune is our at its highest, and Saturn is, I'm sorry, Saturn is also mastery at the very highest level. If we're looking at, you know, how to look at these planets from their highest aspects, which I always recommend when anybody's looking at a chart, to really feel into what are the highest aspects that this planet wants us to express. And with Saturn, it's mastery, really coming into mastery in whatever structure or form that we're beginning. Aries is the very beginning of the zodiac, conjunct Neptune, which is at its highest frequency, is universal love. It is looking at the world through the eyes of love and seeing all of creation looking back at us through the eyes of unconditional love or universal love. And the gene key that's associated with these two planets, Saturn and Neptune, as they're in these degrees here, is the 25th gene key, which is the shadow of constriction, the gift of acceptance, and the city of universal love. Okay, so the energy here is really strong, but this is a square aspect. The red line here is a square to the sun and the moon. And that's a challenging aspect, meaning that there's work to be done in order for that to reach its highest potential. And what it's doing, what a square always does, is causes friction. And the friction then sort of lights a fire for the changes that need to happen to be able to happen. So even though it's a challenging aspect, it can be utilized very positively if we recognize that the friction is really asking us to make changes. Then there is also this energy of uh, I want to just mention that Mercury in this chart is in a trine aspect to the sun and moon, or I'm sorry, to the Saturn and Neptune in this chart. And so the trine is a very flowing aspect. And so the mind, Mercury, our mind, our learning, our expression, and so forth, is being helped, right? The Saturn and Neptune energies are being helped by this Mercury in Cancer. So we have 4 planets in the sign of Cancer in this water sign. And water, you know, the water energy of water is purification. It's emotions, it's release, and it's clarifying. And the Sabian symbol for that Mercury is it's an interesting one as well. It's a muse is weighing twins. A muse is weighing twins, and it's asking us, this Sabian symbol asks us to look at both the logical, the rational, and the non-rational parts, right? The what we really feel. And when I looked at this chart and started sort of interpreting it for myself earlier, it really I felt the energy of the new moon really calling for us to get clear on what it is we really feel. What it is what is it that's deep in our heart that wants to begin now? And the sort of the litmus test that's associated with this and associated with the gene key of 52 of the new moon, the stress, restraint, and stillness, that energy is saying that anytime we allow our mind only to make the decisions for us, when we eliminate the heart from the equation, we are headed for disaster, right? We're headed for something that's not going to work out well. And so it always has to have this energy of the sort of the grail question of how can I be of the greatest service to the whole? Or how can this, whatever it is I'm wanting to start, how can it positively impact myself and others, right? So that's I think a really, really big aspect of this new moon as far as taking it in at the personal level, right? Bringing it into our own life. In the world may have sort of a different feeling to it because in the larger world, but our work as individuals is to hold the highest possible frequencies we can. This is my personal opinion, to to help the collective consciousness to raise its frequency, right? And to be putting out there in the world uh, good karma, right? Good actions and thoughts and frequencies that are beneficial for the whole. And so there's also a sextile here between the sun and the moon and Mars. Mars is now in Virgo, and its energy in Virgo is really about putting things in their proper order. Virgo is very, very much associated by the modern astrologers with Chiron, the wounded healer teacher archetype. And so Mars in this sign of Virgo and sextile to this new moon can give that. Mars is our physical energy, our warrior ways, our our ability to take action and to get things done. And so in a sextile, which is a very uplifting aspect uh, towards whatever it's sextile with. And so it's really adding the physical energy required for this new beginning. I think it's a very, very powerful energy. And there's a lot of other aspects happening at the same time, but these are the ones that I kind of wanted to focus on the most. So the energy around this new moon has to do a lot with looking at what we want to begin, as any new moon gives us an opportunity to reset or begin again or to begin something new. And this is saying, make sure that what you're beginning is in alignment with your heart and your mind, that they are working together, and that what you're wanting to begin has benefit not only for you, but also for the larger collective, right? For humanity or for the planet. It doesn't have to be anything big, just that there's no fear. You're not beginning something because you're afraid of something, right? You're afraid of something not happening. Oh, I have to do this or that or the other thing because if I don't, you know, some consequence. It has to be, what is my heart really wanting to do? What is it really wanting to begin? And how can my mind come together and help this to unfold? And the energies of Saturn and Neptune being in the gene key 25, which is the city of universal love. It's like, even though it's a a challenging aspect to that sun and moon, it's a challenging thing, right? To come into, first of all, to come into the gift of acceptance, and then to move that energy even higher into the gift of universal love. And so I love the Sabian symbol, even though it's a train wreck. Even though the Sabian symbol is a train wreck, it really is this opportunity not only to look at, what we want to begin, but to reframe maybe difficult circumstances or difficult events in our lives, because that's one of the things that it teaches, is that even the very challenging things that happen in our lives and in the world, there may be a silver lining, right? There may be a lesson or a teaching that is so profound or so beneficial to us in the long run that we will see it in retrospect. And so I just really encourage people to, as they're thinking about this new moon, um, to feel, use that Cancer energy of the sun, the moon, Jupiter, and Mercury, all in the sign of Cancer, to feel deeply into what's important and what matters most, and take your actions based on that.
Yeah. Oh, that is a powerful, beautiful message. Yeah. And the energy that you go into the new beginnings with is also so important, as you said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crucial. And I can look back in at different times in my life at the things that have turned out really well, and things that, were disasters or train wrecks, and see and reframe them. And this is an important, I think, also an important exercise for us to do, is to reframe anything that's happened in our lives to the most positive aspect that we can, and see the gifts, see what we learned, see what we, even if it's just, I'll never do that again. You know, that's a powerful lesson. That's a powerful teaching. And and usually there's more than that. There's more positive things that we can receive, because there is a deep learning from from negative events in our lives.
Yeah.
And so the positive, going into something with brand new and eliminating fear from the equation is a powerful recipe for success.
Wonderful. And Margaret, how do you suggest that we bring that into a ritual or a ceremony for
Oh,
this new moon?
I love that you asked that. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do, and then a couple of other ways that you can do that. But I am going to uh, do a dip into the pond. I am going to uh, set my intentions, probably write them down. I'm going to speak them out loud uh, before I go into the pond, and then I'm going to immerse myself in water and just celebrate the water, the energy of the water, the element of water, and invite those new beginnings to be coming from a pure heart. And so I literally have done ceremonies for the Cancer new moon before, or other water signs as well, where I've maybe set out candles and called in, of course, I always call in the elements and the directions, and really make a sacred space for myself. And then maybe even just take a shower and speak out my intentions in the water, and, well, giving gratitude and thanks for that purification and that clarity that comes from immersing myself in water. So if you don't have a pond or the ocean, or the, a lake nearby or a stream, maybe even just having uh, having some water around you that you can wash your hands or your face, like really make the element of water be part of the ceremony somehow.
Yeah. And I love that image of the washing too, because the washing away of the old and the stepping into the new.
Yes. Yes,
Wonderful. Wonderful.
absolutely.
Thank you, Margaret, for the wonderful insights and suggestions on the ritual and ceremony for this new moon.
You're so welcome. Thank you.